If you've been following the news of what's next for the Alien series, then I'm sure you're aware of the rampant rumors that Ridley Scott's sequel to Alien Covenant, tentatively titled Alien Awakening, has been cancelled. I addressed it myself last week and was skeptical, and there's still no official word one way on the matter or another, but recently Ridley Scott has addressed the issue. Sort of. He spoke to Digital Spy and was asked his input on the acquisition of 20th Century Fox's properties by Disney, and what his involvement would be, and he had this to say. It looks to me that the Fox deal is certainly going to go ahead with Disney, and I've been with Fox for a number of years now. I'm hoping I'll still probably be there, so whether or not they go ahead with such a dark subject, being Disney, as Aliens, remains to be seen. I think they should, because I think when people have a hard and fast franchise which has ongoing interest, it's crazy not to do something with it. Definitely strong words, and confident ones, true to Ridley Scott's matter of addressing such issues. Obviously, he's 100% behind the franchise that he started back in 1979, and he seems to be in good spirits about the merger, and has a pretty positive outlook. He continues, "I think it's great. I think it's very good for Disney. Of all the studios, they're far ahead of their game for having a prepared, thought-through demographic for the kind of films they're making, for who they're making them for. That's why they're so successful, and they draw the line at anything that crosses PG-13. If they find that they're so successful with that they want to cross the line and do something a little darker, and if they do that, do they want to do that under Disney, or do they want to do that under the Fox banner? I think there's a business plan afoot, definitely." So basically, Ridley Scott believes that with all the money Disney is making with PG-13 films, they'll be allowed to take risks and venture into properties that are not rated PG-13, and that are indeed darker, such as the Alien franchise. It makes enough sense, and Disney, even with all their power and pull, isn't so much different than any other film studio, in the sense that their bigger, more successful movies allow them to make more movies and branch out a bit, knowing it won't bankrupt them if it isn't a success. So it would seem Scott doesn't see the Disney buyout as a hindrance, though he doesn't seem exactly as confident that we're going to end up seeing exactly what he intended to make, exactly when he intended to release it. So there is that. But an interesting implication to his comments is that the Alien series is inherently dark and R-rated. His comments weren't, "I hope they don't start making PG-13 rated Alien films." His comments were essentially, "I hope their success allows them to do darker material." So a further implication, I suppose, would be that if the next Alien film is PG-13, it won't be under his direction. That's the million-dollar question, though, isn't it? And I know from my previous video on the matter that there are countless fans out there that are legitimately worried that the franchise is going to be Disney-fied and turned into a safe PG-13 type material. And it's a valid concern. But could a PG-13 Alien film actually work? In the Alien and Predator franchise combined, there have been 10 movies, and only one of which was rated anything other than R, which was Alien vs. Predator back in 2004. It still blows my mind to this day that a group of executives and producers and executive producers all sat in a room and I guess decided that that was a perfectly fine idea, that combining two franchises that are known for being brutal and gory and scary could work as PG-13 fare. Are Disney executives sitting in a room somewhere discussing the same thing at this very moment? Now that is a scary thought, isn't it? But this all reminds me of a rumor I once read, long ago, right after Alien vs. Predator was released actually. And for the life of me I can't find any articles referencing it, so who knows if it was a legitimate story or not, or if it's just a false memory. But I remember reading an interview with Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed AVP, where he claimed that he had every intention to make an R-rated Alien vs. Predator movie, and filmed it that way, but was asked to make cuts, and the result was the PG-13 rated version that was released in theaters in 2004. So you could imagine a fan's excitement, and I include my own in the matter, when it was announced that there was going to be an unrated edition of the film released on DVD, which promised to restore all the originally intended R-rated carnage. Well, if you're familiar with this unrated version, you probably know exactly how that turned out. It really was just all hype and false promises. The R-rated content that was promised was literally just digitally added blood effects to the movie as is. Not only disappointing, but the CGI was pretty cheesy and not all that convincing. Quite frankly, it was an insulting ploy to get fans to double dip and purchase a version of the film that was pretty much exactly the same, except it had some silly additional CGI blood. To quote Hudson, "That ain't half fair, man." The reason I bring this up is because I like to play devil's advocate for a moment. What if the next Alien film was filmed in a specific way where the intention was legitimately to do just that? What if both R-rated and PG-13 rated content was filmed simultaneously? The PG-13 version could be released theatrically, but once it comes time for the home video or on-demand releases, the true R-rated version would be unveiled. After all, comparatively, the home video release version lasts longer than the theatrical anyway. It would certainly reach a wider audience in theaters and make more money, which, from what I hear, Disney likes to make money with their movies. Obviously, there's a conflict between the art and the business. But if it does end up PG-13, and PG-13 only, there are many fans who I'm sure won't bother seeing it altogether, whether it be in theaters or at home. If it's R, and only R, maybe more fans will go see it theatrically, but of course Disney will lose out on a huge demographic. But what if it was both? Maybe certain fans will wait for the home video release and not want to see it in theaters if it's PG-13, which is understandable, but the incentive of an R-rated home video release could make up for that lost audience. In order for this to work, each version would have to be the best possible version of itself. Keep in mind, one of the largest contributing factors to Alien Covenant underperforming was its release in China, which is a huge market, and how some bad press about its censorship led to audiences being wary of seeing it. Though I haven't seen the censored Chinese version, by all accounts, it was nearly incomprehensible, since there was such a great deal of gore in the movie directly related to the scenes with the aliens. The cuts that they had to make made the whole film hard to follow. So naturally, audiences waited, or they watched pirated versions, and quite honestly, I don't blame them. But what if, just what if, Alien Covenant had been filmed with alternate scenes for its worldwide release? This isn't an uncommon practice for films to include alternate scenes. For example, Pixar has a practice with its films where there are alternate scenes for versions seen all over the world to clarify certain cultural differences. If audiences in China could have actually followed what was going on the screen with Alien Covenant, maybe more people would have seen it there, and maybe it would have made more money in that theatrical run. So why not just create footage intended for both an international audience, where censorship is much stricter, but also apply it to the North American theatrical release, where it's basically a ploy to take in the younger audiences and get their money, and the true version, the intended R-rated version, will be waiting for home video, and will last much longer than 2 or 3 months in theaters, and whatever money is lost from fans who don't want to see a PG-13 Alien film will be made up for in the larger demographic reached in the theatrical run. I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, but I think it's fairer than doing it the opposite way, which is basically what they did with AVP back in 2004, but the R-rated version, in that case, was a complete ripoff. Maybe it could work, maybe not, but it's just a thought. And I don't think it would be a waste of money just to film extra footage just for the sole purpose of appeasing whiny fanboys who do nothing but go on YouTube and make videos about the Alien movies. But it would be a sound enough business decision considering the international market and its hindrances when it comes to censorship, regardless. It just kills 2 birds with 1 stone, doesn't it? What do you think? Is this a possible course of action for Disney to take? Would you be satisfied with this course of action, knowing that they want to make the PG-13 bucks at the box office, but that a truly considerate, fan-intended, true R-rated cut would be waiting? Comment below and share your opinion with me. And just for the record, I do want to say that I want the next Alien film to be rated R. I want to see the R-rated version on the big screen, and I want the R-rated version to be the true and only rating, but if Disney causes compromises to be made, I just thought I'd put this out there. I wish the Alien franchise nothing but success, and to continue for years and generations to come, and I agree 100% with Ridley Scott. Disney would be crazy not to do something with it. Anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. A very, very special thanks goes out to WEYLAND YUTANI executive, EmYarUk, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow @alien_theory on Twitter, and @AlienTheoryYT on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.